What's up guys, today we're going to be going over how to power level in Edge of Fate and the fastest way to do so, but we're going to break down almost every single aspect of leveling now, working our way from 10 all the way up to 450 power level. So jumping right in, first you're going to complete the new campaign, and depending on if you do it on hard or normal, you're going to be roughly 100 power level at the end. And your first objective is to get to 200. 200 is now like the soft cap for power, which means doing really anything at all will give you higher and higher power up until 200. So even your roll drops are usually +2, but the best first step is just to do all of the side quests, because these will all be +10s. And while you're doing this, you can go ahead and attune what slot you really need. Let's say for me right now, my lowest is my power weapon. So I would go ahead and tune the machine gun to try to get the +10 in that slot. And there's roughly like 12, 13 of these side quests to do, and that will take you pretty close to 200. And at this point, it's time to move on to the portal if you haven't already. So jumping into the portal, there's going to be 4 different modes. There's going to be Solo, Fire Team, Pinnacle, and Crucible. We'll be focusing on the 3 PvE ones for this video, but the way they all function is relatively the same. Just the activities and the amount of players you need for those activities will be the main difference. So starting off explaining the role tiers, the 5 different modes we have available. First we have Normal, which will take you from 10 to 100. Advanced will be 100 to 200. Expert 200 to 300. Master 300 to 400. And Grandmaster 400 to 500. This season we're capped at 450. So Grandmaster 400 to 450 for now. And it's pretty much exactly that. If you're 150 light, you're probably still going to be in advanced, working in that 100 to 200 bracket. And there will be a crossover point and like blend line between the different role tiers, which we'll explain a little bit later. It's not going to be like a hard cutoff. You're not going to be playing advanced until 200. They move on to expert. As you approach 200, there'll be a point where starting expert will be the logical choice, which we'll explain as the video goes. So starting off for power leveling, the thing that is most important is going to be your reward rank, and you want to get this engram into the red. For me, the highest I can get is +4, so right now I'm 262 power, and my drop will be 266. And the way you do this is by cranking up all the modifiers to get to the A reward rank. And we're going to have a few different things we can do. First, we're going to have challenge modifiers, then we're going to have player stakes, and finally boon and event modifiers. So with nothing on, I'm currently at a C reward rank, so I need to put on more and more negatives, banes, or major negative modifiers, or even player stakes to get that up to an A to get the max power level I can get from this activity. And depending on the role tier, the positives will actually lower your challenge multiplier, so you gotta be careful and make sure you're in that A range. And even if you're going to be getting the max reward, it's still worthwhile to make it a little bit more difficult, because as you see, the way the whole scoring system works in the bottom right with the bar, the entire bar is the max score I can get from this activity, and the little ticker, which is all the way to the right currently, is the threshold I need to get my max rewards. So if I make it barely hard enough to get a rewards, as you see, I need almost all the points I can get from this activity to reach that threshold. But if I go and make it a little bit harder, you see the ticker moves to the left, and I now have a little bit more wiggle room to get that max reward. So at times it's a little bit worthwhile to make it a little bit harder than you actually need to, just to guarantee that you get the score. And this is what I was talking about with the kind of blend point and crossover between the role tiers. As you get higher and higher into the 200s, for example, while playing expert, you're going to have to put on more and more negative modifiers to still maintain that A rank reward. And at some point when you get to like 270, 280-ish, it might make more sense just to put on master to still get that A reward, because you won't have to put on any negative modifiers at all. So it's kind of a question, do you want to play on expert with everything cranked up, or play on master with no modifiers at all? And I'm just using expert and master as example because that is like the bracket I'm in currently, but this is the same for every role tier. Let's say you're 100 light, it'll be between advanced and expert. And if I go in and load in the same mission on master with a few modifiers on, as you can see, the threshold is not even like halfway through the max score, so I'm going to be getting that reward very easily. So explaining the whole idea of how this progresses, Just using Master for example, when I first reach the Master World tier, at first to get a rewards, I'll just not have to use any modifiers at all. But as I progress through the 300 to 400 range, as I get closer to 400, I'm going to have to put on more and more negative modifiers to maintain that score rank. And as I get close to 400, it'll make more sense just to switch to Grandmaster. So as you progress higher and higher through the world tier, the harder and harder they have to make the activity to maintain the same level of rewards. But at the same time, you're leveling up yourself and over leveling the world tier, so you're kind of just adjusting it to constantly keep it like roughly 20 to 30 above your light level. And some other things about scoring is the way you actually get score in activities. So all activities, you're going to get score based off encounter completion or activity completion. And most activities have another way to get score. In solo, you're going to have like a bounty that you have to complete. And the bounty is always going to be random. And doing that bounty will give you a huge chunk of score. In solo, kills themselves do not count. It's just the bounty and the completion. But then if we jump into the fire team portal mode, the kills do matter. It's going to be mostly strikes and things like that. And as you see with my current setup, my threshold is all the way to the right, basically at max score. So I need to really kill everything to get my max rewards. And if I was playing this, I would actually go to orbit and make it a little bit harder to give me wiggle room, because you might waste your time, play all this, and not even get the max reward threshold. And then in the Pinnacle playlist, it's going to be purely just encounter completion and activity completion to get score. So a little bit more straightforward. Also in the season pass, you can get score bonuses, and you can get 5 of them. And the last one is at rank 89, and these will be a 3% score bonus for the season. So those will help as you get higher and higher in the season pass. And the final thing to note on the score system is when you're in the game, the score tracker will go golden once you have reached the threshold for your max rewards. And now moving on to the drops themselves. So every single day they'll rotate, and every activity could or could not have a set in stone drop attached to it. So for example, this one right here has the scout. So if I really need a top slot weapon to balance out my light level, I would go play this activity and make sure to get that drop. And to get that drop, you just need a B score or higher. If you're power leveling efficiently, you're going to be going for A anyways, and you'll get that scout drop and boost up that slot. Or if you just want to farm that weapon for actual rolls. Also, another important thing is the amount of completion rewards. Most activities in the game will be 1 completion reward, as you see like in the middle of the text right there above the gauntlets. It says 1 completion reward, and for most things in solo and fire team, it's gonna be 1. But in Pinnacle, with these longer activities, you did get a few things that are 2. For example, Kel's Fall is going to be 2 completion rewards. Whisper is only 1, but most importantly right now, Encore is 4. So every time you complete this activity, we're going to get 4 drops of our max reward tier. And this is based off the dots right here, which is how long they think the activity takes. The longer it is, the more rewards you'll get on completion. And so it's by far the most efficient way to level up right now, which we'll talk a little bit more at the end of the video. But another thing that happens when you're completing portal activities, you might get portal bonus drops, which is going to be this little green engram. And what that will do is just add bonus drops into random activities in the portal itself, depending on the playlist, solo, fire team, or Pinnacle. And you can stack these up onto activities. So for example, on Skywatch, I have 3 currently. So if I go and select that and get it ready, when I complete it, I'll get my 1 reward drop, which will be the max power level of +4, but now I also get 3 bonus drops due to those bonus portal drops that I stacked up, and it will consume all 3 at once. So as you play and get these bonus drops, make sure to target the things with them to get that extra loot. And the final part of this system is going to be infusing. And infusing is going to be pretty complicated. I'm not sure the exacts yet, but I think it revolves around 2 aspects. One is the gap between the 2 items themselves. So if you try to infuse something 100 to 200, That's going to require more materials of these unstable cores than something from like 199 to 200. And the second part is how close it is to your overall highest power level. So right now I'm 262. So if I'm infusing an item up to around 262, it's going to cost more than, let's say, I'm infusing something from 10 to 100. So overall, really all you need to know is the gap between the two items matters and how high the item is compared to your highest power level. And there is a cutoff for the gap. I think it's roughly like 50. So something from 10 to 200 and 150 to 200 should be the same amount. But the good news is these unstable cores don't seem to be that hard to come by. The way you get them is by dismantling stuff above 200 power level. And as you play, you're going to be getting dupes in slots you don't need. And when you break them down, you're going to be getting a lot of unstable cores. Currently, where I'm at, it's no issue at all. Just after 1 day of playing, I have over 20,000 of these zanes, and most infusions take like 200 to 300. So I have a huge surplus. As we get higher and higher in the world tiers, will it eventually become a problem? I'm not sure, but currently it definitely is not. But that is how you get unstable cores and the way the infusion kind of works. So with all that knowledge that we now have, hopefully I explained it kind of well enough. What you can do is really play whatever way you want. That is what's really cool about the system. You can play at your own pace, play whatever activities you want, and make them as hard as you feel comfortable with. You don't have to constantly get the max A rewards if you don't feel comfortable playing at that level. Obviously, getting those rewards will be the fastest way to power level, but you can slow it down and play it however you want. But right now, by far the fastest way to power level is by playing Encore in the Pinnacle Portal mode. And that's just from the 4 completion rewards, all of which will be your max A tier loot. And what makes this activity even better is there's a few chests along the way from the first encounters before the final one. And when you're working up towards the soft cap of 200, these will be +2s for you. And then once you're over 200, they'll be -10. So let's say I'm 250 light, they'll be dropping at 240. So that could still help catch up slots that you're really lacking in. But more importantly, it just means more unstable cores from dismantling all of that loot. But then on completion of the final boss, you get the 4 drops. And with there only being 8 slots in the game, the 3 weapons, 5 armor, if you're getting lucky, you're getting half of your slots +4 every single run. So on average, you're going up like 2 power level per run, which, I mean, it is a grind, but it is by far the fastest way to do this right now. And I guess the final thing to note is when you're playing with fireteam members that are completely different like levels, you're then probably want the highest power level person to make sure they're getting A rewards. Then it'll scale every other player up to them. And as long as the one player is getting A rewards, you will too. Actually, it'll be a lot easier for the lower level people to reach their score threshold. So when I was doing this, Alex was a little bit higher than me. And he would be like barely getting the max rewards, where he needs to kind of move on to master to still be getting those rewards. But for me, when I was like in the 250 range, my threshold was like way lower and I was getting them very easily. So when you're in a fire team with various power levels, it's gonna be kind of complicated, but they did a really good job of making it pretty straightforward. Just play like normal, it'll pull people up if needed, and everyone will be getting the rewards they should. Anyways, I think that is gonna be it for the video. Should be quite a long one. Hopefully I did a good enough job to explain all the aspects of the system. If you have any more details that I kind of missed out or didn't explain well enough, definitely leave a comment and help our community out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Catch us next time.